What's going on, everybody? Coach Ben here. Today I want to address a question I received from the Pro Physique Summer Sculpt Challenge Facebook group. Stay tuned. Alright, what's going on, everyone? Coach Ben here. Just finished training chest and shoulders. I want to address a question from the Facebook group for the Summer Sculpt 60-day transformation challenge we have going on right now. And the question is from Ronald, and his question is regarding macronutrient timing, specifically for protein and carbs, okay? So Ronald asked, what's the way that we can structure our macronutrient timing and intake to maximize muscle protein synthesis and performance? He is suggesting 2 to 3 meals a day versus 5, comparing the differences. How about carbs at each meal? Should you have carbs earlier in the day, later? What are my thoughts and why? Well, let's start with protein. So for protein, I like to spread my protein intake across 3 to 5 meals in a day, and this is mainly due to muscle protein synthesis, okay? So I like to look at muscle protein synthesis as basically the signal for our bodies to grow muscle in response to our workouts in the gym, okay? Now, there is some conflicting research on this about the number of meals you're having per day, whether, like 5 is better than 3 or 1 or 2 is better than 5. My general recommendation is, look, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and maybe like a protein-filled snack post-workout. That's 4 protein feedings right there, right? Now, the research is pretty clear that we're going to need a minimum of about 25 grams of protein at a meal or at a protein feeding to get, that to optimize our muscle protein synthesis, okay? So that response. So we want to be having that minimum amount of protein, but do we need to be having 5, 6, 7 meals a day? No, not necessarily. There is an old, now defunct methodology that a lot of people had, or approach where people go, okay, if I have 6 meals a day, I'm going to be burning through, calories a lot faster. It's going to optimize the amount of muscle I can build, burn more fat. No, that's not the case, okay? We have something called the refractory period of protein, where we see an elevation of muscle protein synthesis after a protein feeding. Things start to return back down towards baseline levels after hours 4 through 6, from a protein feeding. So if you have meals around that time, technically you could best take advantage of that curve. So that's why I go back to my prior recommendation about 3 to 5 meals a day, with 4 being the happy medium. And 3 could be something super easy for you, because the most important diet, the number one key variable is consistency, okay? And if 3 meals is easier for you to hit consistently, then do that, okay? A lot of people ask me about intermittent fasting, having 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. I mean, you can you do that for your whole life, though? Sometimes we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Now, if you're used to doing that, then hey, maybe we could stick with that, because the most important thing at the end of the day is the amount of calories you take in overall, okay? And number 2, if we go from something like intermittent fasting, an approach where we don't eat that often, we eat a lot of food at one time and we try to eat more meals, hey, your digestion might not be great, and it kind of leads me into my second reasoning to have a couple meals a day. If I have all my meals at one time, my digestion is not going to be great. If I have my whole protein goal in one sitting, my digestion is going to be off. Now, if you're used to doing that, you may have the other reaction, right? Where if you try to have 5 meals a day from having 1 meal a day, you might be like, oh, my digestion is all crazy. I don't feel good. That's another reason to just find a happy medium, okay? So protein synthesis, digestion, satiation is a third reason. Protein is very filling. If we're in a dieting phase, it makes sense to have protein spread throughout the day to help with hunger levels. Now, when you're in a diet, in a calorie deficit, hunger is normal. You should want to feel some hunger, but you shouldn't want to be so ravenous that you feel like you're going to have to eat your own arm, okay? Should be somewhere on a scale of 1 to 10, around a 4 to a 7, somewhere in there. So you should be extremely ravenous, and having protein throughout the day can help with that, okay? Sustainability, I already touched on that, but that is the 4th variable I like to look at. Do what's most sustainable for you, because remember, the number 1 most important key variable factor is the amount of calories you take in per day, okay? So if you have, your I'm just going to use an example number. If 2,500 calories puts you in a deficit, if you have that at 2 meals versus 5, technically you're going to see kind of the same difference, right? So now, personally, I do 4 meals a day, exactly as per my recommendations. Breakfast, lunch, and supper, so 3 larger meals, and maybe a smaller like post-workout or even mid-afternoon snack, protein snack, like a protein shake or something, or my protein sludge. If you haven't tried that, try it. You won't regret it. Because from a muscle building standpoint, I would like to try to split my protein throughout the day, and I like to try to keep a minimum of 3 hours between my protein feedings just to help with digestion. Okay, as for carbs, Ronald, you are on the right track. Look at it this way. What are your main energy needs and when are they throughout your day? So for most of us, it's in the middle of the day, right? So you're probably going to want to have larger meals around breakfast, lunch, even middle of the day to take care of, so that you have energy for your professional responsibilities, your workout, right, to optimize performance in the gym. If you have a large meal right before bed, you might have increased energy. That's going to prevent you from falling asleep well, and they may be staying asleep. And what are our energy needs 45 minutes before bed, right? If we're having a meal right then, hey, maybe it's going to be a smaller meal, you know, adequate protein, fats, and that sort of thing. But we can keep our carbs moderate to even minimal. I take the moderate approach. The main thing is consistency. If you're getting overwhelmed by all this, take the number of meals you would like to have per day. Take your total calories and macros divided by, let's say you want to have 3 meals a day, okay? So let's say for example, your target is 200 carb, 175 protein, 55 grams fat. Okay, cool. Divide each of those macros by 3, have them across the 3 meals that you said you wanted to have, right? Because consistency is the name of the game when it comes to this process, guys. So just find something that's consistent for you, that you can best adhere to, and you will see progress. Take care.